Meow, 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 meow. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. CIFR, ticker symbol CIFR. I've been buying with the whales. You remember I was telling you I was buying around April? This is also part of the reason why I didn't end up buying more bit farms on the way down. This is because I saw something better. I saw CIFR's chart and I was amazed by it and I ended up buying in. The whales were doing the same things I was doing because you can see that institutional ownership for CIFR has gone up exponentially really since February, and between March and April and May they just kept going up. You can see that being reflected on the chart too, to be completely honest with you. Look at just the monthly chart over here. It's just been forming higher highs and higher lows. It is hitting some pretty important resistance level right around here. It's just been having a hard time breaking out of it. And I was making an analogy too in terms of what I think this has been doing is just that there's a big volume show over here. The top volume show is probably around 550 or so. I would say it's probably like around 550 or so. It's just been knocking and knocking and knocking the door for over and over again. It's knocking harder, it's knocking more frequent. And the harder it knocks, the more frequent it knocks, and the more it knocks, the more likely the door is going to break down. And when the door breaks down, it's going to go up pretty high from here. And it's been, for the most part, forming like these kind of, higher low, higher high kind of thing. You can see that this is a little bit of a channel going up. If you look at just the 20-month moving average, it's very, very nicely curled up, right? We was using it as to test support down here before, but right now it just shows you the 20-month moving average has really, really seriously changed its trend from bear trend to bull trend. And it could potentially serve as support down here too. I don't think it's going to go back down that far to kind of test these things, and I can show you why. But so far, it's a very nice looking bullish trend that's building up over here, right? The Ichimoku cloud is also showing you to have a very, very nice bullish cross over here back in January of 2024. And since then, price just been oscillating, back testing the Kijun, trying to back test the Tenkan over here with the blue line. And so far, price is above both the red and the blue line after a bullish cross. This is a very, very nice look to it. Right now, it's kind of like a little bit of the top of this volume shelf over here. But the true top of the whole big giant volume shelf over here is around 550. So I think once you're able to knock through the door, it looks like it's getting ready to do so maybe over the next couple of months or so. Once you're able to knock through the door, I mean, really, you're talking about maybe like $7, $8, maybe even $10. That's going to be like the next target for CIFR. Now, looking at the 2-week chart, giving a little bit more idea. I like these little wicks down here. It just tells you that as price goes up, there is a lot more demand that's coming. If you look at a 2-week, it's just basically forming one cup, big cup over here, and one smaller cup over here. And the cup just keeps on getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? This is a very, very nice look to it. A very clear resistance level here is being attacked for a very, very long time, getting close to like a whole year now. And I think most likely it's going to end up breaking through. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud, what are you going to see? Well, you may end up having a little bit of a 2-week bearish crossover just because price is kind of consolidating for about a whole year. But the whole thing is that is still inside the cloud, and it's just basically floating inside the cloud. Like, it's not really doing a whole lot. If you look at the Super Ichi cloud, it's going to be a lot more stable. It's going to tell you a little bit more information in terms of the tick and the Kijun, because it takes into account the super trend, so it's going to be more stable. Had a bullish cross over here in July 2023, and since then, price has just been very, very nice to try to flip or trying to test the Kijun down here, found support, and right now it's trying to flip the Tenkan, the blue line over here, from resistance to support. Right now, it's really been bouncing off of that for about, really about a month and a half in a row. So far, it's really looking very, very nice over here. It's just kind of, staying inside the Super Ichi cloud, consolidating, trying to break above this level over here before going up further. Let's look at the weekly and see what it's trying to do. In the weekly, I'm going to show something else here. I want to show the anchored volume weighted average price, and you can see that this is a VWAP, right? This tells you the average price of the holders if they bought from this anchored spot right there, right? So it can serve as a very important support and resistance line. And so far, it's been respecting this line very well. And it's certainly been respecting the line over very, very well on this weekly chart, right? A lot of these kind of handle cameras, hammer candles, not handle cameras. Like, what the heck is that? Hammer candles over here that generally serve as some pretty decent bottoming type behavior. It's been happening over and over again for the stock, right? Which is why I really like the look of this. Like, this looks like there's just so much energy that's being built up right now, and it's finding support on the way up, right? Another way to look at support is look at the bull market support band. It's just been riding for our support band up, like it's oscillating over here around for a little bit, but it's just been riding the bull market support band and trying to push up. Right now it's a little bit upsloping. Right now we're finding support here again at the bull market support band, right? So this overall is making more higher highs and higher lows than lower highs and lower lows. Overall, the trend is bullish, as you can tell. And overall, we're trying to just break above this level, and we're trying to recruit all the supports that we can over here from underneath, including the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, including the bull market support band. Is it a bull trend? Yes, 50 is right underneath of it. Matter of fact, 50 actually served as pretty decent support. So did 100 over here as it flattened, right? You have a very, very nice bull trend, potentially push price up higher. And as the bull trend continues, I think it's going to end up knocking out the park. I just don't know when. Nobody knows. But it's a very, very nice, very positive trend over here that I'm seeing. And that's CIFR. I'm going to talk about Riot here real quick. I'm going to pull up here, Riot. I'm going to pull up here on the monthly, and it's just been consolidating up the y-axis for about a whole year. So a lot of the indicators probably not going to tell you too much. I do think that there's a correlate between where we are right now, kind of like Mara, but Mara is shorter in terms of its consolidation. I do think there's a lot of correlate over here as opposed to over here, because if you pull up the Black Cat fund flow trend, the oscillator, you can see there's still increase in inflow for Riot, like it did over here, but price just kind of consolidating. Over here consolidated for about half a year, over here consolidated for a whole year, which is absolutely brutal for a lot of people who are expecting things to go up, because Bitcoin has gone up and it just hasn't. It's absolutely brutal. What is the institutional doing for Riot? They've been accumulating. They have been accumulating in the sense that right now it's got 40% institutional ownership, and really over since February they've really been just stacking Riot like crazy, right? So it just hasn't really been reflected on the price. Part of it maybe because of dilution. Part of it is just it's hard to know for sure. But anyway, institutions buying behind the scene, even though the price just kind of gone sideways. Again, whales inflow is coming up, right? Very similar to over here. So there are a lot of correlates over here between this spot and over here. If you look at some of the other indicators, though, it's going to give you a little bit of a mixed picture. But first of all, over here, you see the 20-month moving average has been pointing up, right? Kind of like over here, it's been pointing up for about 6 months or so before it really starts to go parabolic up, right? And it looks like it might be kind of going up for about 6-7 months or so. Potentially, you might end up having a pretty significant bullishness, that could be coming for Riot soon. Who knows, right? But the problem is still a little bit underneath the 20-month moving average. The problem is not that big a problem, though, because the 20-month moving average is pointing up, so it's less likely to serve as very strong resistance at all. And overall, the trend is still relatively bullish because the 20-month moving average is still pointing up, kind of like how it did over here. Now, if you look at the Ichimoku cloud, again, it's going to give you a little bit of a mixed picture here, because you had a bullish cross over here back in February, and you ended up having lost the bullish cross over here in April. You had a bearish cross, but the price just been going sideways here for a whole year. You can have these kind of oscillations. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? What really means is that you did started to have these kind of bullish crosses, but price is still underneath a couple of pretty important resistance. So it's probably still going to need a lot of energy to try to push things through, right? Because if you also look at the volume shelf, you can see that it's kind of at the bottom of this big giant volume shelf over here. It's probably just been oscillating between these two big giant volume shelves, just kind of ping-ponging between around 20 and between around 8 and 9 or so. It's just been going up and down, we had hit the bottom of the range, it bounced as expected, right? I mean, none of this should be surprising to you. If you look at it weekly, you're going to see this very, very nice hammer candle over here. These generally serve as very, very important bottoms, and it ended up gapping up, and it just ended up closing the gap over here a couple of weeks later, last week. And right now, after closing a gap, we have a little bit of like a bullish harami candle over here, which could potentially anticipate a bullish move moving forward. The buying volume over here from the hammer candle over here, this looks like a very, very good hammer bottom, by the way. Big giant volume up, declining volume down. So again, the selling over here was really a little bit more non-committal. I think they just wanted to close the gap here before they started buying again. So buying pressure really wasn't that great, but the selling pressure really also wasn't that great either. And next thing you know, you have a little bit of like a bullish harami candle over here, which could potentially mean price could go up from here because of volume signature and because this is an inside candle. It just makes me feel that it's going to end up going a lot higher from there. Now, the unfortunate thing is that you're still going to end up having a lot of resistance up here. I just showed you that on the monthly chart, you are going to have resistance on the 20-month moving average. You're going to have resistance from the Tenkan and Kijun above, right? And if I just put up the Super Ichi cloud, you're also going to have some resistance down here at the Tenkan, right? And on the weekly chart, you're also going to see quite a lot of different kinds of resistance over here too. For example, if I just pull up the bull market support band, you're going to have a little bit of resistance right above that, right? And right now you did have a lot loss of, kind of like a full bull trend because 20 dipped underneath the 50. So you actually have a little bit of a loss of the full bull trend over here. You did have some over here, but you lost it, right? Because price has been consolidating sideways for such a long time. So you're still going to end up having a lot of resistance above, unfortunately. On top of that, you look at the volume weighted average price. If you do it from the cycle bottom, that's also potentially going to serve as resistance, right? So that's also part of the reason why I'm not in Riot. It doesn't mean that it won't just work its way up all the way up, because there are a lot of very bullish development that's happening over here, right? But including volume, but it's just I just saw a better setup in other miners, so I decided to not be in this. Right. It doesn't mean that it's not going to do well. It just means that it lost its bull trend and had a lot of resistance as it break through, just because it's been going sideways for so long. But the thing is, it's been going sideways for so long, but it's just kind of been accumulating for so long that like eventually I think this trend's going to break. Right now it's just been oscillating and it's just been indecisive. And right now we're kind of at the bottom of this range that's been going on for a whole year. So if you think about ranges, you really think about more like, hey, it's hit the bottom of the range, so what's the next logical thing that's going to happen, right? Next logical thing that's going to happen is probably going to end up hitting the top of the range again, right? Bottom of the range down here, top of the range over here, right? So I am leaning more towards that it's going to break through all these resistance and going to hit the top of the range again. And then after that, I'm hoping the bulls won't be exhausted, because I do see this resistance up here has been trying to break through multiple times. We'll see whether or not it breaks through next time when it hits the top of the range, after it breaks through all the resistance that I was showing you earlier. It's not the best setup, I gotta say, but it's also not the worst. On the 2-week chart, it tells you that I think it's probably going to end up bouncing, and there's a chance for it to break this range, and there's a chance for it to hit the top of the Ichimoku cloud of here around 24. It really did a very, very nice bounce from the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud here multiple times on the 2-week chart. And you did have a little bit of bearish cross again. So things just been oscillating around here so long, so it's probably meaningless. But it did hit the bottom of the cloud over here. So I wonder what's going to happen next. Is it going to keep bouncing up from here, right? This downtrend over here for about 8 weeks straight was on declining volume. This green candle over here has pretty strong volume over here, right? So I wonder what the next step is going to be. I think the next step is probably going to be up. It's probably end up hitting the top of range and see when I'm going to break through. But again, we see what happens when we try to break the resistance over here. So that's Riot. I do want to add one extra one, because if I'm talking about Riot, there's one that looks very, very similar to Riot. Very, very similar to Riot, which is Bit Digital. Just looking at the 2-week chart with the Ichimoku cloud, you can see why I meant it's similar. Like, it's kind of hitting the bottom of the 2-week Ichimoku cloud right down here, right? It looks like it's trying to find support over here. It looks like there's a range over here. It looks like it's been ranging for a very, very long time, for about a whole year, right? Hit the top of range, bottom of range, top of range, bottom of range. So what's the next logical step? Top of the range, right? Does it have enough bullish energy to break the range to go up a lot higher to potentially hit the top of the Ichimoku cloud over here? Possible. Right now it just looks like a big giant volume shelf over here, because it's just been oscillating around for like close to the whole year, right? Most logical thing is going to end up breaking back in the top of range, maybe go through top of cloud back test and go up higher. Most likely scenario. But there are a few things that are a little bit, troublesome about it. It has got the same look when you look at the monthly, you look at the 20-month moving average on the bull in Japan. It has the same look as Riot. It's just trying to backtest the 20-month moving average. I don't think it's going to serve as very, very bad resistance here. I think it's going to end up breaking above. But you have resistance right there, right? You have resistance with the Ichimoku cloud, with the Tenkan Kijun cross. At least you don't have a bearish cross like you did with Riot, but you do have a bullish cross over here that has not been followed through quite just yet. Price is currently below both the Tenkan and Kijun. It's serving as a little bit of resistance, actually. So it's hard to see what the next step is going to be, because you still have a lot of resistance here, although I think the next logical step is going to be back to the top of range, potentially beyond. The Super Ichi cloud, the same thing, right? Tenkan serve as resistance. You look at the weekly chart, you're also going to see, the boomerang support band as resistance. This looks the same as Riot. You're going to see the 20 and 50 and 100. This looks very similar to Riot. You lost the 20 and over 50 over here. So you lost the full bull trend. Right? It's just been consolidating for way too long. You're going to lose some of the bull trend that you might have developed throughout the way. It's just been oscillating. Right now it's just a little bit, unfortunately it's a little bit meaningless, right? So it's a decent look, I guess, kind of like Riot, but it's not the most bullish setup. I wonder if there's any blackhead fund flow trend. Yes, there is. The thing about it is that there's a discrepancy with price going sideways over here, just like Riot. Been going sideways over here for a whole year, but whales have been just going up like non-stop for a whole year, right? And if you look at the Fintel.io data, you're also going to see the same thing. It's just whales just coming in like crazy, with the institutional accumulation just going up like crazy. One of the things about BTBT that is very nice is the institutional holding. It's about 44%. That's also a plus, and there's a little bit of discrepancy over here. But if you just look at the traditional like technical analysis, there's still a lot of resistance over here to be broken, right? I think it's going to go back to the top of range. I think it's probably going to go beyond that, back test and go up higher. That's my suspicion. Riot and Bit Digital look the same, but CIFR is probably best out of all three of them in terms of setup. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.